So if you had to choose between the FERS supplement and getting a 10% bonus, which you can get at age 62, which one could you or should you choose? And this is exactly the question that I got from a recent subscriber on my YouTube channel, where he said, hey, should I retire at 60 and get the FERS supplement for a couple years, or should I get the 10% bonus by working till 62? Now, if you're unfamiliar with either the FERS supplement or the 10% bonus, then hey, you need to stick around and figure out how this works, because it means, if you understand this, it can mean money in your pocket from, once you retire to the rest of your life, depending on what you pick. And honestly, it makes a vast difference. And after running the numbers, I was so surprised at the massive difference that this can make in your retirement. And again, my hope is that you won't take this example that I'm going to talk about today as the concrete and the only way that you can solve your problems. I hope you can look at how we solve the problems today, how we run the numbers, so that you can run the numbers on different decisions that you have to make in your federal retirement. So if you're a federal employee, hey, stick around. This is going to be a great episode. Consider subscribing and joining the community here. And if you have any questions like this subscriber had, put them in there's a link below in the description where you can submit questions. It takes you back to my website, and you can submit questions there. And that's where I pull all the questions and often the topics that I talk about in these episodes. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So I'll read you the exact question that I got. They said, hey, should I retire at 60 versus 62? I know that I'd get the FERS supplement if I retire at 60, but I would get the 10% pension bonus if I retire at 62. How do I do the math to know which one would be better? So I did the math, like I said, and the difference is just huge. But before we get into the math of that, which we certainly will, we have to understand just the basics. I'm not going to go into the details of this, but the basics of what the FERS supplement is and what the 10% bonus is and who they go to, okay? So the FERS supplement is for those federal employees that retire with at least 30 years of service at their minimum retirement age, right? Or for those that have at least 20 years of service at age 60, okay? So if you meet one of those, then you can get the FERS supplement until age 62. So that's kind of the one thing to remember about the FERS supplement. It's gonna stop at 62 no matter what, okay? So what this gentleman is asking is, hey, I know I could get the FERS supplement from age 60 if I retire at 60, from 60 to 62, but if I work till 62, he'd be able to get the 10% bonus. And let me tell you about that. So it's a pretty awesome benefit that you have to understand. So if you retire at age 62 or later and you have at least 20 years of service, then your pension will get a 10% increase than if you would have just worked, let's say, a month short of 62, okay? So it gets a 10% bonus that you can get just by working till 62 in 20 years, okay? It's not worth it for everyone. For some people, can make a vast difference. So again, if you want to know more about the FERS supplement, about this 10% bump, go to my website, and if you go to the article that I wrote associated with this topic, because I always do, I write an article with every podcast and YouTube that I do. Go back to the website, go to blogs, find the topic, and you'll find this one, okay? Go in there, and there's going to be links to all other articles getting you more information about the FERS supplement, how it works, who exactly gets it, the working limits, all the things you need to know. It's going to all be in the article, so definitely check that out. So now that you know who's eligible for the FERS supplement as well as the 10% bonus, the question is, hey, okay, which one is better? If I could retire at 60 or 62 to get the FERS supplement or the 10% bonus, because you can't get both. You can't get both, right? If that is the case, which one should I go for? So now, if you are on YouTube, you now just noticed that I started to share my screen, okay? Where I'm sharing you so I could walk you through some of these numbers of doing the math of comparing these things. So if you're on the podcast, I'll do my best to walk you through it with my voice, but again, definitely check out the YouTube channel, check out my website, check out the article associated with this, and this will be a lot easier to follow with those things. So without further ado, let's look at some of the numbers, okay? Now that we know, who's eligible for the FERS supplement, who's not, and the 10% bonus, let's look at the numbers. So let's assume, I'm actually gonna make this a little bigger here for us. So let's assume you retire at 60, okay? And let's assume that you got 20 years of service and your salary is 100 grand. We're keeping the numbers super simple here, okay? So if you retire at 60, your pension is gonna be about 20 grand a year, your gross pension, gross, okay? So that's great. But also, we also know that retiring at 60 with 20 years, you get the FERS supplement. And we have to make an assumption here about Social Security because it's based on that. So let's assume that his age 62 Social Security benefit is 2 grand. So we run the numbers on his FERS pension or FERS supplement, and let's say his FERS supplement is about $1,000 a month. Let's say. I think that's a great estimate here. So let's just say it's about $1,000 a month. Okay, perfect. So that means from age 60 till 62, he's going to receive $1,000 a month from the FERS supplement, which for 2 years is going to be $24,000. So by retiring at 60, he is going to get $24,000 that he would not get by working till 62. Okay. Now, if he does work till 62, what's going to be different? Well, his pension is going to be bigger, right? So let's look at those numbers. So if you retire at 62, you're not eligible for the FERS supplement, but as long as you got at least 20 years, then you can get a 10% bonus. So let's take the same numbers. Let's say now he's 62, so he's got 22 years of service now. His salary, let's say, is still 100K. And his multiplier now is 1.1%, not just 1. Okay? So that means that his annual pension is going to be $24,200. So if you remember, that's $4,200 more than it was at age 60. But, of course, he's not getting the FERS supplement, okay? Now, if a lot of this stuff is going over your head, again, definitely look at the article, read this through a few times so you understand how these numbers are playing out. Or look at some of the articles that I wrote that dig down into the FERS supplement and your pension so you know exactly how things are calculated. That'll help a lot. Perfect. So we know that you are forgoing $24,000 of the FERS supplement by retiring at 62, but your pension is greater, and guess what? That bump to your pension that you get, that's gonna last for the rest of your life, right? So how do we figure out if it's worth it to work till 62? Well, let's do a little math. How many years would it take to make up $24,000 if you're getting an extra $4,200 every year? And I'm doing the math here on my screen. You can see it's gonna take 5.7 years, okay? 5.7 years to make up the $24,000 that you don't get because you're not getting the FERS supplement, because you're getting an extra $4,200 a month in your pension, okay? So it only takes less than 6 years to make this back, and then for the rest of your retirement, the rest of your life, you're gonna be getting an extra $4,200, right? So let's put it in perspective. Let's say, what if I told you, hey, you give me 24 grand, and for the rest of your life, I'm gonna pay you $4,200. Would you do it? Yes, I sure hope you would, okay? Because that is almost like a 17 point something percent, 17.5%, here it is, 17.5% guaranteed return for the rest of your life, right? For the rest of your life, guaranteed, which is incredible, which is awesome. Now, I'm not even talking about your pension is going to get cost of living adjustments based on that higher amount, which is awesome. Your FERS supplement, no, it stops at 62 and it does not get cost of living adjustments, right? Also, we didn't take into the fact that between age 60 and 62, if you're working, well, you're saving more into your TSP, that's continuing to grow. So there's a ton of advantages of working till 62. Now, here are my final thoughts here. So my final thoughts are, if you look at the numbers, look at straight the numbers and nothing else, okay? It definitely appears that it makes a ton of sense to work till 62. Now, what is the major cost of that? First, you don't get the FERS supplement, but honestly, that's a small cost, relatively. The major cost is the fact that you have to work 2 extra years. 2 extra years of your life you have to work to get this increase. Is it worth it? Well, it depends. If you love your job and you say, hey, I love what I'm doing, let's work till 62, no problem. I say, hey, awesome, do it. But for some people, the thought of working 2 extra years is just depressing, right? They don't like their job, they don't like where they're at, and they want to retire as soon as they can, right? And here's the deal. When it comes to getting a ton of money out of your TSP, your pension, it always makes sense to work longer. Because the longer you work, guess what? Your salary is bigger, the more you have in your TSP. The numbers always look better when you work longer. That's just how it works. But at some point, it's not worth it anymore. At some point, you have to say, hey, I am done working. I am done working and I want to retire. The numbers that I do have, my pension that I'm gonna have, my first supplement or not the first supplement, whatever it is, your Social Security, you're comfortable with that and you're good. You say, I'm done, right? You have to find the point, and this is up to you, right? Where you are comfortable enough with your numbers that you can stop working, be comfortable, have the retirement that you want, and be okay with not working longer. Because of course, the more you work, the more money you're gonna have in retirement, but that's not, sometimes it's a fool's bargain, right? We could all work till we're 90, but is that the point? What's the point, right? We wanna enjoy life, right? So you have to find the balance that works for you. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, and again, the numbers I went through today are based on specific assumptions I made. Your numbers are gonna look way different, but hopefully the process of working through it made sense to you. And if it didn't, hey, let me know, okay? Check out the article, read through it, and that'll definitely help process. Because I know I talked about a ton of stuff, I threw a ton of numbers, and so it's hard to follow sometimes. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, there's a link again in the description below. Submit them, I love them. They are the basis for so many of my videos, my podcasts, my articles, because I wanna help you. As federal employees, I wanna know what your questions are so I can address them. So, have an incredible rest of your day. Definitely run your own numbers, know where you stand, and I'll see you next time.